Space is silent, but nothing in it is still. From the moment the sun ignited, our solar system became a battlefield of gravity. Worlds forming, colliding, and carving their orbits through a vast ocean of darkness. Today, those planets drift in perfect balance, each one a survivor of a violent past. But to understand them, we have to leave Earth behind and follow the path of a lone spacecraft as it crosses the inner worlds, slips through the asteroid belt, and enters the realm of giants. Out here, distance becomes time, sunlight becomes fragile, and the familiar rules of Earth begin to break. The first stop is Mercury, a scorched world closest to the sun. It's small, barely bigger than our moon, but don't let size fool you. Mercury is a survivor, a relic from the earliest days of the solar system. Its surface is a battlefield of craters carved by ancient impacts. No atmosphere to soften the blow, no weather to erase the scars. Just raw, exposed rock, baked by sunlight, frozen by night. Temperatures swing wildly here. By day, the surface can reach 800 degrees Fahrenheit. By night, it plunges to minus 280. That's the cost of orbiting so close to the sun and having no air to hold the heat. Mercury races around the sun in just 88 Earth days. But its rotation is strange. It spins so slowly that one day on Mercury lasts 176 Earth days. That means if you stood on the surface, the sun would crawl across the sky, taking months to rise and set. And when it does rise, it's enormous. From Mercury, the sun looks 3 times larger than it does from Earth, and 7 times brighter. There are no moons here, no rings. Just a dense, iron-rich planet with a magnetic field, weak but surprising for a world this small. Scientists believe Mercury was once larger, but in the chaos of the early solar system, it may have been struck by a massive object, stripping away much of its outer layers. What remains is a dense metallic core wrapped in a thin shell of rock. It's quiet now, but Mercury holds clues to the violence that shaped every planet. And as our spacecraft passes by, it captures the silence, the heat, and the history written in stone. Traveler leaves Mercury behind, the scorched world fading into the black. With its work complete, the spacecraft settles in for a long coast, 3.5 months of quiet flight toward Venus. To conserve power, Traveler powers down, sensors go dark, instruments fold away. Most systems slip into low-energy sleep, leaving only the guidance core awake to watch the stars and hold the course. Between planets, silence becomes the mission, and Venus waits ahead. It's been over 100 days since Traveler left Mercury behind. Now, at last, a new world emerges from the darkness, a pale, glowing crescent swelling into view. Venus, Earth's twin in size, but nothing like home. From a distance, Venus looks calm, a smooth, unbroken sphere wrapped in soft, golden cloud. But that beauty hides the most extreme environment of any rocky planet in the solar system. Venus is almost the same size and mass as Earth. For a long time, scientists believed it might have once been a gentle world, with oceans, rain, and a climate not unlike our own. But something changed, something catastrophic. Today, Venus is a furnace. Its atmosphere is a suffocating blanket of carbon dioxide, more than 90 times thicker than Earth's. The pressure at the surface is like being a kilometer underwater, and the temperature? Nearly 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to melt lead. Hotter than Mercury, even though Venus sits almost twice as far from the sun. The clouds that make Venus shine so brightly are made of sulfuric acid. They trap heat with brutal efficiency, driving a runaway greenhouse effect that has raged for hundreds of millions of years. High above the surface, winds scream around the planet at hundreds of miles per hour, circling the globe in just a few days. But down below, the air barely moves, a silent, crushing world locked in perpetual twilight. Radar mapping reveals a landscape shaped by fire. Vast volcanic plains, towering mountains, canyons longer than anything on Earth. Some volcanoes may still be active today, releasing heat from a planet that refuses to cool. For Traveler, Venus is a paradox, familiar in size, alien in every other way. A world that shows us what happens when a planet loses control of its climate. A warning written in rock and acid clouds. Traveler has been coasting through the deep quiet between Venus and Mars for months. A silent machine riding a thin line of sunlight. Most of its systems have slept through the journey, conserving every watt for the work ahead. But then, something stirs. A faint signal. A familiar gravity. A world it knows. Earth. As Traveler drifts past the orbit of its creators, its instruments wake like old instincts returning. Cameras warm, spectrometers blink alive, antennas pivot toward the blue-white sphere hanging in the darkness. For a brief moment, the mission becomes personal. Traveler studies the oceans that launched it, the continents that built it, the thin atmosphere that dreamed it into existence. Then, just as quickly, Earth falls behind. The instruments power down once more, and Traveler turns its attention forward, toward the red world waiting in the cold ahead. Mars emerges ahead, no longer a distant ember, but a full world suspended in the dark. A desert planet carved by time, shaped by wind, and haunted by the memory of water. Its surface glows with a deep, rusty hue, iron-rich dust drifting across the planet for billions of years. Sunlight reveals the ancient highlands first, terrain older than any continent on Earth. Ridges rise like the spines of buried mountains. Impact basins stretch for hundreds of miles, their rims softened by ages of erosion. As the view draws closer, the planet's great landmarks take form. Valles Marineris yawns across the equator, a canyon system so vast it could swallow entire nations. Its walls plunge deeper than Earth's tallest mountains, layered with the geological history of a world that once flowed with rivers. Far to the west, Olympus Mons towers above the plains. A volcano so massive its slopes seem to merge with the horizon, built-in eruptions that spanned entire eras. Dust storms drift across the lowlands, rising and falling like slow planetary tides. Some swirl in tight spirals no larger than a city. Others stretch for thousands of miles, thin veils of ochre wrapping the planet in a shifting haze. Near the pole, a cap of frozen carbon dioxide gleams in the sunlight, white against the red. Layer upon layer of ice records the cycles of Martian seasons, each one colder and thinner than the last. And beneath it all lies the story scientists have chased for generations. Dry riverbeds that once carried flowing water, delta fans shaped by ancient lakes, minerals that form only in the presence of liquid water. Every feature, a clue to a past that was warmer, wetter, and perhaps briefly alive. Mars rolls beneath the gaze of the passing probe, a world both familiar and alien, a planet that might once have looked back at us with oceans, clouds, and blue skies of its own. Now silent, now frozen, but still holding the echoes of what it used to be. As the flyby continues, the red planet drifts behind. Its vast canyons, towering volcanoes, and ancient plains fading into the darkness of space. Yet the impression remains. Mars is not just a world. It is a monument to time itself,